now? That's good. Man. All right, we will call to order the Thursday, February 13th, 2025 City of North Kansas City Equity and Inclusion Committee meeting. And we will start with a call to order. Ryan Brooks.
Here.
Jennifer Boyd. Bess Bailey.
Here.
Kathy West. Daniel Trotter is here. Martin Newton.
Here.
Simon Shekels.
Here.
And Anitra Hamilton, I believe, is absent. All right, so voting members absent Anitra, and we will move to the approval of the meeting minutes that were attached to our email and our agenda. Does anyone move to approve those meeting minutes
I move to approve.
from January 9th?
I second.
All right, all in favor of the approval, say aye.
Aye.
Next item on the list, comments from the public. If we have any comments that anyone would like to make this evening. Well, thanks for attending, nevertheless. Next item is the municipal code language updates. I know we've had some work sessions, I believe. How's everything going? Any updates?
We had some fun.
We did.
We went through 2 sections, 8 and 9.
Yes.
There wasn't a ton in 8, and that was because of the topic it covered, which was, Martin, you have to remind me.
Was it, I think I got it pulled up. There was, general principle, 9 was general principles of liability, public peace, morals, and welfare.
That one had a lot.
That one had a lot.
That one had a lot. And that one came down to outdated language and outdated times and who was considered important at the time that it was written and who was not updated for. And I think that one's going to take a lot more work to consider it. Anitra took all the notes that week when we were, I have them in some notebook somewhere. But it was a lot of language around, let me just pull up my notes, Martin, while you're doing that. If you find any of your notes, that'd be great too.
The health and safety was 8. We did that one. And we also did, looked over the Title 9 that you just mentioned, public peace, morals. We also looked over Title 10, was, vehicles in traffic. We didn't get as much on that one as we did on 8 and 9.
Yeah, we went through as much as 9 as we could, knowing that it was going to be a heavier use of our time as well as content, and it was more emotionally loaded. Oh, there she is, our girl. I'm sure she'll have her notes to pull up as well.
In your defense, we did move through the first 5 items on the agenda rather quickly.
So fast. I wasn't super ready.
Could I ask a couple of quick questions to buy you some time, maybe?
Yeah, let's just vamp.
Okay. The first question, so I kind of, got brought into this, when I came in. And the first emails that I've seen about it are about these 3 titles, titles 8, 9, and 10. Does that mean that titles 1 through 7 have just been completed? Okay, awesome. I was hoping that'd be a quick question. The second one, do we have like a list of rules or a style guide or anything that we have that's been put together at this point of saying like these are explicitly the things that we are looking for or anything like that, or has it just been what's kind of been talked around at the meetings? I didn't know if there was actually any because I started reading through some of I've done my best to start reading through some of the ordinances. It's a little dry. And then I realized pretty quickly, I don't know if I know everything I should explicitly be looking for.
We don't have anything in writing of things to look for per se. Sorry, I'm very easily distracted today. However, you know it when you see it, which is not helpful for me to tell you that. But I think general rule of thumb is which is probably, if that's in there, we should take it out. The way we look through it is as we're reading, my vision is if I left this in there and I knew better and I didn't say anything, would I be embarrassed in 10 years or when my daughter is reading these in the future? And if the answer is yes, I say something. If the answer is I don't know, I say something. And I think as I've like moved through it more, I find myself on the fence for more than of like it's either a very clear yes or no, and if I'm on the fence, it's because it probably should be yes, but I'm not sure why yet. And then that's where I'm like, no, let's talk about this one because I'm not sure. And that's not helpful out of context, I think.
Oh, I mean, I personally think that's pretty helpful. And that is kind of the way that I've been going through it too, is like, basically, you know, if there are things that make you go, ooh, you know, better to note it and to, at the very least, you know, ask about it, bring it up in the notes.
Or any questionable language that we think that might be not inclusive or anything like that. We usually discuss it with each other once we're going over it and bounce it off of each other. And hey, is this cool or this is misleading or this is a little bit off-putting or so forth. Any kind of language like that.
And then I can just say having the variety of people and with the different backgrounds, that does help because I can say having a medical background, I question a lot of things. So coming with the different perspectives, it is very helpful.
Yeah, so just extra eyes.
Yes.
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 I mean, I think that answers both my questions. So.
Yeah, and I think that we've learned just from, you know, the length of time, but also the, just the different angles we've come at this project. It is really going to be a process of finding those things and then compiling your findings to probably come up with kind of a high-level style guide. I mean, I really think at the end of the day, it'll be a little more concrete once you have the items and you can, you know, decide if they are worthy of change or fall under, you know, something kind of objective category that you can come up with, you know.
And I think nine's really good examples of that because we're looking at the way 9 starts is it's just definitions. And as you're looking through that, you see language that I think at one point was pretty cut and dry. And then as people are more knowledgeable, and I think especially for disability, like visual and invisible, that has started to become more public knowledge, there's language that no longer fits and is no longer the safety net it once was. And I think having a medical background, it's helpful to have that lens as well as like a person with invisible like medical needs, right? And as we were looking through these, it's like, oh wait, like looking at this definition, it covers this one thing, but that's actually such a narrow definition. It's incredibly dangerous if it's applied that way to these 5 other situations. And I think we like spent a lot of time talking on like the way these definitions can be applied, how problematic it could be applied different ways, who all is encompassed in this like one type of group. And that's why we only got through 2 instead of all 3, because the topic of peace, morals, and welfare can be really triggering if not upheld well and if not adapted to our current population. And because of that, it felt better to go slow and with each other than it did to just go isolated. Like, yep, caught this, and then compile them at the end. Because as we went together slower, we were able to like catch things maybe someone else didn't catch, or like really talk through the language that not everyone caught the first time.
We also discussed the preamble that we were talking about. I think Marcia, we had discussed that earlier, and that would satisfy a lot of the issues, specifically when it deals with gender, like he and she and so forth. To have a preamble at the top of it to explain that when we say this, it actually, it has a broad spectrum. I think that's important.
I can add the preamble, per the meeting a month ago, was passed on to the city councilor. It's in his court right now.
I can add to that in a conversation with him. He indicated that we can pretty much write whatever we want as a preamble. But that would, and so we can do that. But that wouldn't necessarily cover some of the things that have been uncovered in 9, which aren't related to the he, she, that level of preamble. And so we need to separate those two. Create a preamble, yes. I mean, definitions at the very beginning of all the codes. But then when we come to 9, we might have to do more revisions.
Were there any other specific notes you all wanted to share or that you revisited?
Anitra, do you have that list of notes you took while we were working on this? I'm trying to think the fastest way through this without having to go back and redo a bunch of the talking we've already done.
Sure.
I think probably the best way to do it is not propose anything tonight, because we didn't propose solutions. We just flagged the language. So I think what I would propose would be another work session where we created the language to change to, and then moved forward with that. I think is probably the best way to move forward. But I think it would take at least one work session, if not 2, based on the amount.
I agree.
Just because this is a pretty long section.
Bess, is your microphone on?
Yeah, but I was talking over here. Sorry. Being out of my normal schedule is really hard for me, if you cannot tell. My proposal would be to do one at least work session on Title IX in order to come up with a proposal for language shifts. Because as of right now, we've just talked about what was no longer appropriate or felt appropriate on behalf of the EIC. So to schedule one and then check where we are at that point, and then possibly either bring it to the next meeting or schedule another work session to be able to have an encompassing proposal.
All right, any other feedback on item, well, it's 5B because there's 2 number 5s, but the municipal code language updates. Any other items? Marcia?
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Hello. Okay. So, would it be helpful to have a goal or a deadline, a time frame for suggestions to be made so that we can move this forward in a more official sense? You know what I mean? Because I know this has been in the works for several years, and do you know what I'm saying? Would it be helpful to have a deadline? Let's say by April, we're going to have titles 1 through 10 done, dusted, and then we'll move on, or asking for thoughts.
I don't have any of the work we have done prior to what you have done that we have access to. I've looked through my inbox. I don't have anything. So, yeah, it'd be great. But also, I can't find it. So that's, problem statement number 1. I think number 2 is, yes, I would like to have something we move on. And I think with that, I'm thinking if we do sometime in February, our next meeting is March. If we do a work session to come up with solutions or changes in language, we could vote on it in well, what would the process be? Is the process we vote to send the language to city council, or would we need to do our city councilor?
It'll end up at the city councilor, so, I mean, you could send it there first, but it wouldn't hurt to make the recommend, come up with what you want to recommend to the city council and let them direct the city councilor to do whatever. That might be the best route, actually.
Okay.
That way before the council present, hey, here's what we've done, but with the acknowledgement that it hasn't gone through the councilor.
And then the final step is to get approved by the city councilor.
Yeah, he would review it all, and if he has any comments or, anything, my thought would be we'd get him to a EIC meeting. But yeah.
Okay. Could we try to get him to the next EIC meeting?
I can
feel like
ask.
We
Yeah.
haven't heard from him about a couple things we've asked about. And there was like something from the summer we haven't heard back about.
What was that one?
It
Just
was
so I
about
could-
changing our quorum.
Okay.
How many chapters are remaining or titles? Did you remind me, are there 17?
I think it's 7.
So we're a little over
Yeah.
halfway, right?
Yeah. Wait till you get to planning and zoning. Oh,
Sure. Well, that's the thing, like, I think it's
some of
taken
them.
a year to get to this point, I would say. I mean, I think in earnest, we started reviewing everything about a year ago, right? So, just putting in the context of, the amount of time that's taken, and if we can consider what maybe a summer deadline looks like or something like that, I think that would be reasonable. Because at the end of the day, the findings might need to be collected and, put into some sort of a summary or report that can be official, right? For someone to review. I mean, I think that's the end goal. But a deadline, I don't know. What would we be comfortable with?
Well, I think, Marcia, you were talking about like an incremental deadline, right? Like what we have from when we started until now, move forward with it by whenever the date we set is.
So honestly, it would be whatever works best for the group. It can be incremental, but what we don't want to happen, and like with anything, like not just with the code, right, is that we talk, and then it just ends at the talking, right? So there needs to be something that's done about it. And so whether that is setting like bi-weekly goals of, okay, I'm going to take this particular title, we're going to look it over, I'm going to have suggestions for this. And then, at the next monthly meeting, it's talked about, agreed upon, and then sent over. But like whatever will help move this along into actionable strategic steps would be good, so that we're not just turning wheels all the time.
So the notes so far, all of the notes and everything that we have so far, I guess that could be collected. That would be the first step, maybe. I think you have some. I think Marcia have some from the first.
I have those.
And you have those already? So we have the notes already, I guess. We have to just bring it forward and maybe put it in some type of a document that this is what we covered. And we got that part of it. But I agree that we do need maybe a date to kind of sort of start wrapping this up. I think it would be good. I agree. And work session.
That's what I was gonna say, the work session was very helpful, so, like you said, having maybe one or two more in more attendance, so like if one group takes these two, then another group takes another sheet, and then we switch to see, okay, hey, these are the notes that I came up with in these two ordinances, and then just kind of compare, and then that'll be four if we're gonna do it like that, since we're already at nine. And not every ordinance had a lot in it. It's just that when we got to nine, it was pretty extensive. And I can say that I was part of the problem. I'm like, well, wait, yeah. So, um, again, it's coming from that medical background where it's just like, there's a new term for this, and then looking at it as a whole, like this could be deemed in various different ways. So.
One recommendation I might make is just that since we do have new folks, new faces, new viewpoints, of course, since we've made it through 9 sections, the team that has worked on it could try and create a rough draft of what those findings have been to work towards an official kind of final summary or recommendation and see how that goes. I mean, in terms of saying like, yes, we have these concrete opinions, or yes, we have these concrete changes and recommendations, while some of the newer folks who haven't had a chance to review the code could start on the second half of those sections. So at the same time, while we're having new eyes and kind of new viewpoints going through some of the titles that haven't been reviewed, we can at least wrap up the part that has and see how well we can summarize it. Does that make sense? Like actually, trying to put together that final deliverable, if you will, for council or for the council legal person, whatever.
As being one of the new people, is there any way we can like review what you guys have done? Because that would, like, I know for me, it would give me a better idea of what I was looking for, and then it would also keep it much more cohesive. So we would still, like if you have a language suggestion or something like that.
Mike?
Yeah, I was going to ask, the notes from I think we have everything up through the last work session. If everyone wouldn't mind sending them through Megan, she could kind of be that collection source, and then we can send it out like we normally do everything. But then trying to think what we have. I think we sent out a month or two or so ago the notes that Councilmember Wade Kuntz had, so we can resend those as well. But yeah, if we could be the kind of repository or also for safekeeping, just
Have we been able to figure out a way to have these in an online digital space? Or have you heard? I have not heard back. Have you?
I tried and looked, couldn't figure anything out. Then I asked the IT guy, and I haven't heard back. So let me bother him again.
Okay. I found out that Dropbox is now charging, which it's been a very long time since I thank you. Thank you. And I have no room on my Google Drive. I can make a new email. I don't really care. I don't think. And then have all the space I need, I guess, for 20 years of my life again. But I think.
Yeah, let me get with him,
Cool.
and then hopefully have some happy news to send by email.
Wonderful. Thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and move us to a solution that I think could work. My recommendation would be we have exactly 1 month between now and our next meeting, which would be on March 13th. I recommend that on March 13th, we're ready to vote on language shifts for 1 through 10. In order to do that, I think, if possible, we meet twice. Once on a Thursday, once on a Saturday. Because I think the meeting once in between is probably not going to get us there. Because I don't want to do like a 4-hour jam session. That just is too mentally taxing. But I don't think the flip side of that is I don't think it makes sense to meet before we have kind of an organization of information. So with that, I would recommend we meet around maybe like do the 27th. Is this the real month? Hold on. Yep, it's the real month. Do like the 27th for our first meeting and maybe the 8th for our second meeting. That way we could have a Thursday and a Saturday, and we'll have time to compile information. And have kind of a space to put it into. That way we can move forward on what we could propose to city council, which I do think is the best place to go to first. And then what would our next city council be closest to the March 13th? Just because I never remember.
It'll
that
be
cycle.
March 18th.
Would we be able to meet the packet in time for that?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. If everything's ready that night,
Okay.
and, you know, really then it's a, let's say a memo. But in this case, I mean, if we're pushing the envelope, it can be a memo from myself saying the EIC is coming to, you know, but something along those lines. Yeah.
Don't panic, the EIC will be there.
Yep.
Okay, so that would be March 18th. And then everyone, mark your calendars for March 18th, city council meeting.
And are we meeting on
Can you
the
tell me
Oh,
the
yeah,
days?
can you repeat that one more time?
I completely made those up.
Oh, okay.
I don't actually know if they work with anyone up here, but I said it with confidence. Did you like that?
I
So-
do think you're right, though, that like we should actually look at our calendars, pull up some dates, and try to get some dates scheduled right now.
Okay.
I will be the first to respond and say, usually Thursdays, I have one Thursday off a month, this one. But the 8th, Saturday the 8th, I'm totally good for that.
I'm good, both dates. They managed to fit.
I'm good.
Shocking.
I'm
So,
good both days.
So hold on, I'm like looking at a calendar and I actually don't know if those are the real dates. So give me a second. So today is the 13th. Yeah, we're there. Okay, it's the 27th, Thursday the 27th, and Saturday the 8th. Yeah,
Both those work for me.
great.
I'm in town both days.
Great. There's nothing on this version of my calendar, so I'm gonna say it's probably okay.
That memo we're gonna be sent out, like you also, Megan?
I'll post the agendas saying that you guys are gonna be hanging out, doing stuff. What time?
6:30 at the library?
6:30 at the library?
For both?
On the 27th.
Oh, no, not for both. That seems silly on a Saturday.
I was like, all right.
That's what.
On the weekday. On the weekday, 6:30.
Noon on Saturday the 8th.
Great.
Okay. Are there any council member liaison updates?
Only my conversation with the city councilor regarding what we can and cannot do. Apparently, there's not much we can't do.
I think everyone in the United States has learned that in the last month or so.
Right?
That's
So we
about
should
it.
just take our own liberties to, yeah, do whatever we want. Sorry.
The only
Sorry.
limitation he explicitly mentioned was the term "they." He said legally that means plural in all cases. And so that was the only thing he came up with.
I will also put it out there again for the Northland Assistance Center. That is still something that I think the EIC would really be good at for like lending a perspective, getting folks from the community together to try to figure out some solutions to the different challenges that our community faces. So I would just ask to also keep that kind of forefront, especially as weather is getting warmer. That tends to slip out a lot of people's minds, and I think that would be a good time for us to be able to come together, bring folks together, get some ideas and perspectives rolling.
I think the challenge mainly had to do with unhoused people. Mainly, that's what we discussed.
Yeah, correct. Mm-hmm.
All right, so looks like for announcements, we'll start with the Snake Saturday Parade and the Bubble Options PDF. Or printout, whichever one you're
It was really exciting to be able to put that on there.
I know. I love it.
So we are officially signed up for Snake Saturday. It's March 15th. Who all thinks they might want to come?
I want to, but I'll be out of town. I hate it.
Okay, so once it's closer, I will send out kind of we're going to do this, be here. I'll be getting there at like 8 a.m., I think, so then y'all can show up closer to 11. I'll have like my phone number, everything, in case you guys need to contact me, you can't find me. I looked and did research on bubbles, so you'll see those. What kind of bubbles do you want? How much are you wanting me to spend? I know, I didn't know. I mean, they're all bubbles.
I hate I'm gonna miss this food.
But it looks like there's some that aren't just like bubble guns and are instead machines. And the truck that I'll be driving is an EV, so we'll have plug-ins. So we could do.
So I have a little bit of experience with one of these
Okay.
sets. The two-piece. This one, I got those for my grandson and nephew
Okay.
for over at Thanksgiving, and they loved them. They work great. They are rechargeable.
Okay.
The bubbles, I ordered this. It came unopened and leaked, and the box was gushy.
Okay.
So we might want to find
Fine.
a local solution for gathering large quantities of bubbles.
Sure.
That may have been a one-off experience for me, but these guns were a huge hit.
Okay.
So, and
I
yeah,
was kind of thinking of getting those, especially for if anybody's bringing their kids, to be able to walk around with. And for Bess.
I actually do have opinions about this.
Oh, yes, that's also why I only put one of those on there.
Okay, thank you so much.
Because I was like, I don't know about this. There's like dinosaur-shaped ones too.
Um,
that I could get.
so
Yeah,
here are my opinions.
yeah.
I don't have many. My preference would be to do something that we know is like biodegradable and good for the earth,
Okay.
because God knows what the weather's going to be. And then my preference would be to do something that is not shaped like a gun, because I think that's scary, and I think,
It's not the mood.
yeah, it's not the mood. But look at the reviews on this bad boy. It's like 15,000, 4.5 stars. So I'm just saying, it's not shaped like a gun. It's got a plug-in option. 18,000 bubbles per minute? Are you kidding me? $28? 4.3 for 15,000 stars. And there's a bunch of colors.
Hey,
for the mood, for the vibe. That's
We
all I
need-
have to say.
We need to know how many bubbles there are per ounce in a bubble thing to put that in perspective. Like, how fast are you gonna go through 64 ounces at 18,000 per
Bubbles
minute?
per minute. I don't even know.
Well, there's a speed on the bubble machine. So if we, depending on the speed that is chosen, that would determine how fast the bubbles go.
Safe design.
Oh, no candy?
No candy?
No candy this.
Okay.
No, I'm asking.
Oh,
I'm
no,
saying.
so, they haven't updated the rules for this year, but I'm assuming it's gonna be the same rules as last year, which is just, you have to hand them.
And them instead of throwing
Right.
them.
I also thought, why don't we just throw them on the ground? That's not dropping? I don't know. Yeah, true.
What if they get like gutter candy? I don't want kids to pick up gutter candy because that's my daughter, and I don't want her to eat gutter candy.
So we could just plan on handing out bigger thing, or, for everyone that's new, last year we weren't allowed to, like, everything had to be handed directly
Can't throw it like
to
Mardi Gras, like
the
they used to.
recipient. So it makes us go slow.
It's real fun.
Were we slow last year? I forget.
You were so slow last year.
I thought I was fast. Well, now I know.
No, there's zero shade. It was just like.
It's fun though.
There were several times that I had to jog to meet up with everyone because I was like.
I'm glad I know I was the problem because I didn't realize that.
Could you carry a bucket?
Yeah.
And they just, then when you have a bunch of kids mob, you just have a bucket, and they grab it out of there? Instead of, oh, sorry, instead of.
Okay, so candy purchases, what do we think? Same amount as last year? Less? Half as last year?
Did we run out last year?
No, we gave away a bunch at the
We ran out.
the the high school deal not too long ago.
Did we use candy for both Saturday
Pride,
and Pride, or was it a different
Pride you
candy?
can't remember, you can't give anything out. Don't know that they've done that this year again. At Pride, it was all before. It wasn't during. And then we gave a bunch out at Arts in the Park. Okay, so maybe, yeah, half the amount of candy that was spent last year. Okay.
Do we still have swag left?
Yes, I don't have an accurate current.
Like I know maybe shirts or what else we had? We had buttons or
The sunglasses are
Sunglasses.
gone.
yeah.
I can take an inventory and let you know what we'll be bringing, like what can come, and then we'll go from there. You might, let's see, if you guys are meeting at 6:30 on the 27th, I could show up there and then bring that info. Do we need to make any, nothing needs to be like an official decision. I mean, it's probably too late to buy anything at this point because it would be, like, buy branded things. But candy wise and bubbles. Oh, yes. Yeah. So I'll just buy half the amount of candy as last year, and then the bubble paraphernalia. I'll make sure, yeah. Yeah. And then, send out like the be here when persuasion. Oh, okay.
Megan, do we have an official photographer or for the events that we go to?
We do not.
I think we might need something like that. I think we do.
Okay.
We need the
Does anybody know any photographers?
I have a couple that I could recommend.
It would be useful in terms of marketing for us.
You say you're in a photography club? Do you want to be the photographer?
I want to use the bubbles.
We could do both.
I could do both. I can ask. I'll ask. We have a whole club.
Okay. Could she use the city camera?
Yeah, that'd be cool. I think they were talking about bidding it, being very official.
I mean,
in
like-
the city.
like I have-
Oh,
Government,
Yeah.
yeah, bidding services, but.
It's,
All
have you seen
inclusive.
Ken's?
I think that was the.
We could maybe just get you in the shot. We're gonna check with some folks that we know.
Yeah.
Oh,
Probably because they, yeah, like,
Right.
yeah, they own businesses and yeah, business like this. And, yeah, so I know a lot of stuff.
So did you write down the bubble machine you're getting and did we need to make
Yeah, I was gonna do that, the one with the reviews.
the durable automatic bubble blower, 18,000 plus? Okay.
So I
Yeah, we can
definitely,
put a motion to allocate our funds to that. All right, does anyone move to officially allocate some of our budget to the bubble machine, the bubbles, and the candy in the spirit of Snake Saturday and for our parade resources?
I move to use a decent amount of money for the bubbles.
I second that.
All right. A motion has been made to spend a decent amount of money on the bubble machine. All in favor? Sorry, do we need a concrete number?
Oh, we need a concrete number?
So do we want one bubble machine? And
No,
No.
Oh, sorry, how many?
Definitely more than one.
3?
minimum 2.
Okay, minimum 2.
to the point,
Two on each side of the street.
to the point about how much bubbles it uses, this machine, I definitely haven't been sitting here in this meeting reading about this bubble machine.
All right.
But in
Used
the,
to-
in the reviews, there are multiple recipes to make your own bubble stuff for this machine specifically. It's Johnson and Johnson baby soap, tablespoon of glycerine for bubble strength, and distilled water. That's it.
We've seen some 5-gallon drums, and we'll have our own bubble concoction.
Unlimited
for
ammo.
Probably.
Thanks, Troy.
Sweet. No, I believe it. I know that. Surely someone has one.
Okay, but sorry, I didn't mean to distract. We're trying to come up with a number. Was that right?
How about I buy 2, turn them on, see how many bubbles are coming out, and see if I'm like, we could have twice as much. And then do that. Yeah.
Yeah, like maybe the motion is up to 4 of these machines.
Sorry, a dollar amount. I mean, so they're $40 a piece. So if it was 5, there's 200. So maybe up to $500 for candy, the supplies, all that.
I'm seeing
Or do you want-
$28.76. Is that not the right price on here? $28.
Mike's
Oh.
proposal was for like all of the supplies, like candy, the bubbles, everything.
The wand, the
Yeah.
The glycerin.
How much did we spend last year on
oh,
on
that
candy?
doesn't. You don't have to.
I did not
Sorry.
check today.
I'm just so nervous we're not going to have enough bubbles.
Maybe not to exceed 1,000. Right. Just it's a not to exceed amount.
Yeah, that's what I thought the
That way it'd
500
give
was
us-
like, if we, at most, and then, like Megan said, get a couple of them and see how they do, if we need more. I assume that's why you threw out 500, Mike, was to aim high.
So, okay.
500, a 500 budget should get it.
$1.
I move to spend $7.50 on bubble accoutrement and candy for Snake Saturday.
Is there swag in there or we're just using our previous? Okay.
I second
Move.
that motion.
All right. All in favor of putting the limit at $750 for Snake Saturday, say aye. All right, the ayes have it. 750 is the max for the bubbles and the candy and the machinery and accoutrement. All right. Well, I'll make one last announcement. I know most of you know this is my last EIC meeting, so I'm very sad just meeting all the new faces, but it's very encouraging to see people join the committee. It's been a committee that I think has been fantastic for the city, and I know we get a lot of compliments at all of the events we go to, so certainly just want to leave with a message of, continuing to work hard and staying organized. I'm glad Marcia has seen both sides and can now push us in the right direction. But especially in the current climate, I think it's important just to keep doing this work a lot more, wholeheartedly than even before. So I hope you all will do that. And I look forward to seeing you soon. I'll be back in a year, so hopefully I can rejoin y'all. But yeah. All right. Well, that's it. Anything else before I adjourn?
Happy Black History Month.
Yes. Happy Black.
Oh, I put something in the last week in review, and then it'll just be every,
I saw that.
yeah. So.
All right. We will adjourn the meeting at 7:52.
Not without us thanking you
Oh,
for
well,
all the work you've done.
thanks. Well, thank you, everyone. I appreciate that. So all right. Meeting adjourned. And I'll turn off the broadcast.